Hey everyone, and happy Friday. So today we are going to be discussing a topic that is really a new concept in health and wellness, and I'm very excited to bring on my special guests. But guys, I want to give you a background as to what we're going to be discussing before I bring our renowned chiropractor, Dr. Paul Martin, on the line. Actually, I'm going to add him in now so we don't have technical difficulties. As I'm bringing him on, Dr. Paul Martin and his wife, Lael, have become friends and business partners of mine. And I've just grown to respect them so much because they're so passionate about sharing true wellness with people. And they're really the real deal, guys. So I'm excited to bring you on, Paul. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me. Yeah.
We're excited. Well, everybody's in for a treat today. Paul and Lael own their chiropractic office in Tacoma, Washington. It's called Brilliant Life Chiropractic, and he's going to be sharing the link below after we finish this live. You can learn a little bit more about him and all that he's about. But Paul, I was letting everybody know that we are going to be discussing the topic of activation versus supplementation. And so this is such a new topic to people. It's definitely something that I think most of our audience today probably have not heard about it. And so will you just give us an overview as to your journey with wellness and why you got started with chiropractic care, just so people can get to know you a little bit better before we get into our topic?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've been involved in chiropractic in some form or another for like 25 years. First as a patient, and then later on as a doctor. I would say it's part of what sparked my journey into health, into wellness. It started off with a back injury, as many people get into chiropractic care, but then I discovered that I just felt better throughout getting adjusted. Every time I got adjusted, I felt better in some way. And I don't know when exactly I got that switch of like, I don't have to be in pain to benefit from an adjustment, but somewhere along the line that clicked for me, and I started to realize that as much as I was relying on medications, I was asthmatic as a kid up till I was about 30. And as much as I was relying on medications and sort of this outside in fix me sort of protocol, I just got sicker and sicker. But as soon as I was able to embrace wellness from within, which is what chiropractic is all about, I got better and better and better. And it's just continuing. Like I get older and older and I get better and better. So it's just, and it spread into everything else. I started off as a personal trainer looking at exercise and how that helped with health and wellness, and just jumped into chiropractic after a few years of doing that.
Wow.
So
So
it's been a journey.
you own a very successful practice, and your wife, I adore her just as much. She's amazing. What's your guys' overall, what is your biggest goal and mission in owning your chiropractic wellness office?
Our mission, as we've said from the beginning, is to educate, empower, and inspire our community to recognize their incredible potential for optimal health.
Wow. Without utilizing a lot of what we're used to hearing from traditional medical doctors, masking a symptom, not getting to the root cause of disease and issues in the body. And I'm so passionate about sharing this information with people because I feel like along the way, so many people have lost faith in the human body. The beauty of really optimizing the human body and taking care of what God's given us. And so today, talking about this subject regarding supplementation and activation, will you just share with us kind of your biggest issue with the idea of supplementing the body when there's an issue? Like what does that mean to you?
So it's opening up a huge thing because
That's great. We're ready to hear from you.
Yeah, as a chiropractor, there's always some other supplement that's coming down the line. People approach us, Lael and myself, all the time with the next thing, the newest thing. Whether it's packaged in a different form. I remember there was one that was supposed to be an improved delivery just because it was a liquid form, and there might be some truth to that. We would occasionally try these and didn't find too much of a benefit from them. And what we came to over and over again was that supplementation doesn't seem to work very well. Studies, big long-term studies, don't show any particular benefit for most supplements and can actually be harmful for some of them. In fact, I just saw today Chris Kresser, who is a naturopath, Chinese medicine person that I really respect. He said that vitamin D supplementation, that people have been putting in a whole bunch of vitamin D into their systems and these mega doses might not be as beneficial as we once thought. And we keep hearing this.
Mm.
And so is it beneficial to throw in extra supplements from the outside that don't come from real food? And that's what keeps coming back for me. Whenever someone approaches me about something like that, I'm like, okay, you say that I need this thing, that maybe it declines with age, or it's not in our food, which is actually true. A lot of this stuff is not in our food anymore. But is there value in supplementing? Is this a form that my body can actually use it, or is there another way that I can get it that is more like a lifestyle change? And over again, I find lifestyle changes. Oh, good. Well, I'll just go do that thing that makes my body produce more of it, and I'll get all the other benefits from that. So my approach and my wife's approach to health is really whole foods as much as we can do. We don't do processed foods. We move, we're active, we get chiropractic care, all of the most natural things that we can find, that that work, that don't involve just mega dosing a bunch of antioxidants or supplements that don't seem to have much of an impact. Long-term studies don't show any particular benefit to those things.
Absolutely. Well, I know that my education piece came from a book called Deadly Antioxidants. And it was really the concept of everything that you've shared with us right now regarding the fact that actually over supplementing can be worse for the body, the body's inability to change it on it. When you're talking about epigenetics and gene expression and gene behavior regarding our health, you can actually do just as much harm with supplementation, just like you would if you were to, incorporate a pharmaceutical drug or whatever it may be. And so it was a very interesting concept because I had been on a journey in discovering what health and wellness was myself. So when I read that book, it really kind of opened me up to the concept. I would suggest people, you can get it on Amazon. It's called Deadly Antioxidants. I will post a link of it for it below. But it really just opened the idea that our body was created with different pathways and different, at its optimal level, it's producing things that are going to be healing our body. And the concept of upregulating glutathione and all of these protective enzymes in our body, that as we age, the toxicity in our environment surrounding us, it becomes harder and harder to keep up with the toxic load. Let's move into the solution of what we've kind of discussed, and that's called activation. What was the biggest thing that caught your attention when you heard about the concept of activating the body?
The biggest thing that caught my attention is that it wasn't attempting to replace anything in the body already. It's not just like throw more antioxidants at something. What it does is it actually, activating an internal process in the body that is basically being overwhelmed because of the levels of stress, as you talked about, like the toxic environment that we live in. Just by the fact of living in the time that we live in, we're exposed to more oxidative stress than, like, say, a caveman was. In one day, we're exposed to more oxidative stress than a caveman, and probably his entire life. And that just, I don't think our bodies were actually equipped to deal with that. We can do everything perfectly and still not make it because of that. And then I think that's part of what's contributing to all of these chronic diseases that we're seeing. And also, I just put this together the other day. Chiropractors have been saying for like 20 years, adjustments don't seem to work as well as they used to. Why is that? What's going on? I think it's this increases in oxidative stress that's constantly occurring. So this solution, by activating the pathway in the body that produces more antioxidant from the inside out, like the most effective ones that you can have, that just made sense to me. And you look at the levels of what it is, and they're not huge mega dosing levels. It's just this synergistic blend that works so well together that you're not, the studies I've read on it say that if you were to take enough of any one of those ingredients to create that same effect, it would be a toxic load. But with the 5 in synergy with each other, just coming together like that, your body works so much better. And
Absolutely.
that just had so much appeal to me. And I'm like, you know what, I got to try this thing and see what my what effect it has for me, which is always my take on it. How does this work for me before I can approach other people with it?
Absolutely. Well, I
Oh, great.
respect you so much, Paul, because I know you guys are approached with, different ideas of healing and different, like you said, forms of supplementation. So to be open to looking at a concept that virtually we're pioneering to most of the living world today. We know that we have an audience though, because the toxic load in our environment, like we've talked about,
Oh,
the foods that we're eating. Cancer, I think, is 1 in 3. I was just watching on the news this morning. We were talking about here in the United States, the cancer epidemic is just shooting. I mean, there's so many different things that show us that maybe the way that we've been doing things isn't right.
maybe.
Maybe our concept of how we've not only been treating our body and what we've been putting in it, but even maybe our aspect of how we view health is a little bit off. And when you're looking at different countries that are, I feel, so much far beyond, where we even are today in research. And, I always like to talk about the cancer diagnosis because we walk through that with my mom, but there's a major issue when you have over 500 different treatments in Switzerland and Germany. So we can talk about that as well. I mean, you and I can talk for hours about maybe not the issues, but let's focus more on the solutions because I think that this is important. Can you just touch a little bit about the two main pathways that we know in the body? And then we'll wrap it up because I don't want to do it too long. But guys, drop a line too where you're coming in from. We want to say hi to you. So drop a line, let us know where you're coming in from. But Paul, can you just tell us a little bit about the NRF2 pathway? Just in essence of what, when you're activating that, what it does specifically to the body, because I love when we get into a little bit of the science, but keep it layman's terms because, we're all just beginners here.
Okay, layman's terms. I have to do this often with when I'm working with people and they don't know necessarily. I call things a scapula, and they're like, "What's a scapula?" Oh, it's your shoulder blade. Oh, yeah, right. The nerve 2 pathway. Gosh, we've been sort of inundating with that just within the last few months since we started taking it. And my understanding of it is that by activating the nerve 2 pathway, you increase the body's ability to produce more of its more of its own antioxidants, its endogenous antioxidants, which are more powerful than anything you could eat by a factor of like 1,000,000 to 1. And that's not a made up number either. When I first saw that, I'm like, that's a marketing piece. That's a made up number. You're just exaggerating. But no, actually, it's not. That's a literal number. And I love it when those numbers are literal and you're not making up a number. Um, Glutathione being like one of the main antioxidants in the body. One of the reasons why like taking Tylenol can actually be so deleterious for your health is because it depletes your glutathione levels. And so, don't take Tylenol. That's a little aside. But then also other ones, including things like catalase, superoxide dismutase. You get into these are like the major players when it comes to dealing with oxidative stress in the body in the on the cellular level. Those guys right there, those three that I just mentioned are probably the biggest ones. And this herbal blend actually, the NRF2 pathway activates, what is it, something like 36 different pathways,
Yeah,
if I'm remembering
absolutely.
that correctly.
Well, and
And
I
I don't
think
remember the names of all of them, but
one of the biggest concepts to kind of add with what you're saying is the fact that it's up and down regulating our genetic behavior. And going into like epigenetics and,
yeah.
people say, well, cancer runs in my family. My mom and dad both passed away of cancer. I'm genetically predisposed to get cancer. Well, this is part of the way that we're realizing that you don't have to be, your gene pool. There's a way to actually express those genes in a great way of healing and anti-inflammatory processes. So I just had to add that in there. You were doing great.
Absolutely. Epigenetic factors are the key. I was at a chiropractic seminar a few weekends ago, and one of the things she likened your genes to basically a blueprint or a recipe. She liked a recipe. Like if you've got the recipe for the best chocolate chip cookies you can imagine, that's your genes basically is this recipe. Do you have chocolate chip cookies? No, you don't have chocolate chip cookies yet. You have to add all the right ingredients to get chocolate chip cookies, and you have to cook it for the right amount of time. Those are the epigenetic factors. That's your lifestyle. That's your food. That's what, the NRF2 pathway.
Mhm.
That's getting those things with the right stimulus to provide the environment so that you end up with cookies. But without all of those things, you don't get cookies. You just have the genes for cookies.
Mm.
And how sad would that be?
That was, see, I love that you broke it down in layman's terms, because I think it's so easy to not understand the concept when you're dealing about all these factors that create really a healthy environment on a cellular level. So thank you for breaking that down. And guys, Paul and I would like to invite each and every one of you to a special closed group. You have to actually comment below to be added to this, but you can connect with Dr. Paul and also his beautiful wife, Lael, in this incredible group full of education, a group that is really going to just bring you up to date as to this imperative information that not only you need to understand, but this information that you need to start sharing with the people that you know and love. So if you want to be added into this group to connect with Dr. Paul, please comment below. I know he'll be good about getting back with your questions. He's just a whirl of knowledge and information. And Paul, it's been such a pleasure to be on a mission to change wellness with you. I truly believe that there is such a need for people to hear this information and to understand that we are taking faith out of the human body when we're trying to introduce things, whether it be pharmaceutical grade or supplementation, that are messing with what we've been created to do, and that is heal on a cellular level. So would you like to add anything else besides, before we wrap up this Facebook Live today? Like I said, we're going to be putting the link to your chiropractic office down below. So guys, check that. If you know anybody in the Tacoma, Washington area, send them over to Paul and Lael. I know there's so many options, but they truly have the most integrity. So share this information because they're definitely going to want to connect with them. But Paul, before we wrap up, what do you want to share with us maybe one last thought before we end our Facebook Live today?
It would be to encourage people to look into this. With every fiber of my being and my heart, like I want people to be healthy. That is why we opened a chiropractic center. That's why I was a personal trainer before that. Like health, you have nothing without health. And I really feel like our Western medicine model is looking at health in the wrong way. And this is another way. And just really take a look at it, because health really does come from within, and then it expresses outward through that. And like pharmaceuticals, we throw them at people way too often. I could go on and on about that, but just,
oh, you and me both.
yeah, you guys owe it to yourselves and your families and everyone you care about to look into this information. It's potentially life changing for just about everybody. And I mean, I'm really healthy, and I was before, and it was life changing for me. So, I mean, it could be for anybody. I really do feel that way.
That says it all. Well, thank you, Paul. I mean, gosh, I've had such a great time with you. I think we should maybe do a follow-up live educating more. Guys, that is my passion, is to inspire each and every one of you, to educate each and every one of you, to take your health back, to make a stand for what you're going to require in your life, to educate your kids. You guys, we are educating our generations for what they are going to believe is truth. And it is so important that we stop the madness. And like I say, it is not going to change. Things are not going to change from the top down. It's going to be from the bottom up, from a rising up of people that want something better for their lives, for their families. So I encourage you, share this video, share this information. If you know of somebody that's struggling with their health now, share this video, tag them in the comment below. And like we said, we're excited to add you into this group, guys. And thank you so much, Paul. I've had such a great time with you. You've made my Friday. I'll be interviewing your lovely wife here soon too. So I know we're going to get some good value out of that. So
great.
It's been incredible. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Take care, guys. All right. We'll connect soon, everyone. Bye, guys.
Bye.